All right, welcome back, everybody. How you doing? We are going to start putting some finishing touches on this game. I know it's a really basic game. There's really not a lot to it, but hopefully from this you have learned the mechanics of making a game that's more advanced. And in a future playlist, we will go through some more advanced things that we could add to this. But in this video, what we're going to do is we are going to give this game a title screen so that we can actually, make it look like an actual game and actually have something that we can have it start with and open with. All right. And up to this point, I haven't really talked too much about multiple scenes or anything like that, but we're going to get into that in this video. We're also going to look at things like video and how to use video as a material and still images as well. It'll be pretty cool. So stay tuned. When last we played our amazing game, we were at the point where we had created some animation states for us when we die. Ooh, there it is. And really not much else to do. You may have noticed I changed my lighting. I got my lighting from the back now, and that's something I'm going to use because of this tutorial specifically. There's something I need to show you guys what happens when you're testing out your game. But for now, this looks great. And what we're going to do is we are going to create our title screen, like I said. So let's start by making a folder for the elements that we're going to need. We're going to right click, we're going to create a folder. We're going to call it title menu. You can call it start screen if you really want. It doesn't really matter. Title menu. We're going to go inside there. We're going to bring in two things. Title PNG and hidden treasures. I'm going to show you each of those. First one, title PNG. This is just something I threw together. With some stock art, and then I put the text in Treasure Seeker. That's the name of this game, okay? Because pretty much all he does is goes and finds treasure chests. So Treasure Seeker. And I have this video of some treasure, some amazing gold treasure in a room full of treasure, okay? So I've got these two little pieces that we're going to use in our game. All right, so that is that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our assets, and we're going to actually create a separate scene. Now, there's a couple ways we could do this. I'm not sure if we can just go straight. Yeah, we can. We can go straight to here and create a scene. All right, and what that's going to do is we'll give it a name. We're going to call it title menu. Okay, we're going to double click. And we're going to save our scene that we were just on, even though nothing's really changed. And we're going to be presented with a brand new scene with a camera and a light, and pretty much the way we started Animate the very first time. We're simply going to use this scene to make a menu. So we don't need any of the 3D aspects to it. We're just going to switch into 2D view, and we're going to build right off the hop. We're going to put in a canvas. So we're going to go Game Object, UI. Let's put in a raw image. Okay, raw image. We'll double click our canvas so we can see it all. If we click on our raw image, there's a couple ways we could do this. We could put our rect tool and just stretch it to fit. That works pretty quick and easy. Okay, that's a really fast way of doing it. And now that we have it to fit, very good. We want to put our picture for our title menu onto this page. So title menu, title. Okay, so we go to our raw image. What we're going to do is we're going to take this title picture, which is the Treasure Seeker picture. Let me just get this all showing on the screen. And what we're going to do is we are going to apply it to the texture of our raw image. And there you go. You will see that that picture is going to become the Treasure Seeker picture. So let's just shrink it down a little bit. This is not a good way to do it. Let's turn on our linking scale. Let's do it this way. I prefer to be sort of more of a visual guy. That's good. And I'm going to probably move it over a little to the left like that. Okay, now you may notice your skybox looks different than mine. Yours might look dark and it may look strange. And one thing that I read up on that is fairly useful is when you are making multiple scenes, you go to Window, you go to Rendering, Lighting, and you go to Environment. And just make sure when you go to your environment settings where it says Skybox, change it to color. All right, just change it to color. And if you notice anything weird with your lights, we'll talk about that in a bit. But maybe just make that change now so you don't have to worry about it later. Okay, so if we press play on this scene, we are simply going to see the picture. Nothing else, nothing happens, nothing changes. It's just a picture. All right, remember, always remember to go to your canvas. Change it from constant pixel size to scale with screen size. And remember to always set this to 0.5. Okay. Now the reason that's important, guys, I'm going to refresh you on this, that if you view this game on multiple screens with different resolutions, this picture could become too big and just go right off the screen. So you want to make sure you're set for that. Okay, with video is an interesting thing that you can do, that you can use. The neat thing about video is you can simply drag and drop it onto any object in your scene, and it can become the material of that object, so that object can actually play the video. All right, it's a little different when you want it to be a UI element. In this case, what we're trying to do is we're going to have this video as the background behind Treasure Seeker. So the way we do that is simply go to our game object and go to UI. And we're going to add a new image, again, a raw image. Okay, so we're going to drop that in. Now, we should probably name these so that we don't get confused. The first one here we'll rename and we'll call it title graphic. Oops, I can't spell today. Title graphic. This one we're going to call title background. Okay, this is just so it makes sense. And actually, we shouldn't just have it called canvas. It should be called the title menu. Okay, just like that. Oh man, I'm really bad on the spelling today. Let me try that again. Title menu. I think I still have an I in there. There we go. Title menu. Okay, perfect. So we've got that there and we've got that there. Now you'll notice that our background image, we're going to go to the rec tool here and we're going to scale it up to fit our canvas. But you'll notice that it covers up our Treasure Seeker image. So we're going to take this layer, we're going to just drag it above title graphics so that that picture, the background, now goes into the background. All right, cool. Now, this is the tricky part. This is the part, I might even screw it up here. When you want to use video, all right, what you first of all have to do is create a video player object. Okay, so you're going to create a video player object. So we'll add that. Okay, doesn't really matter. You don't need to worry about any of this. This is all good, but even the settings are pretty good. You can mess with them if you want. But you will see a couple of important things. First of all, we want the video to play when it plays on awake, when it's loaded. Waits on the first frame, that's good. Loops, that's important for this one because we want it to loop in the background, right? Render mode, render texture. This is very important. I'm going to talk about it in a second. But we should be able to take Hidden Treasure and drag it to the video clip slot right there. Okay, and now it will be added to our video player object. Okay, next, we've got a video player object now with the clip on it. Now we need to go in here and create a render texture. If you notice, this video says that it's going to, whoa, that's not the video, here it is. Says that it's going to render on a render texture. Okay, it's going to be a texture, a render texture. Okay, and so what we need to do is down in our title menu here, we're going to create a render texture. There it is. And the size, let's go with 1080, wait, sorry, 1920 by 1080. And this really should match your video clip size, okay? Should match it. So I don't know if this is a 1080 video, probably not, but the proportions will probably be right, okay? So now we got a new render texture. This render texture is what we're actually going to apply to our background. So here's how we do it. We're going to go to video player. All right, there it is. We're going to take our render texture and we're going to put it onto here. Okay, so now we've got a new render texture on the video player. Then we're going to go to our background right here. And we should be able to apply, if not the video player, we should be able to apply, the render texture to the background like that. Okay, now let's test it and let's see if it works. We're going to hit play. See if everything linked up. Yeah, it does. It works great. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky to understand. Even I've been using the Blender for many versions, and it's still confusing. But basically, what you've got is you've got your video, all right, and your video needs to be attached to a video player, all right. Then it needs to be told what object it's going to render on. And that's why you need to make this render texture, especially for flat video, all right? It's got to be told what the target texture it's going to run on is. So you make a render texture object, you add it to this. So you got the video clip, you got that added. Then you take, it needs to know where that's going to be used. So that's when you go to your background, add your render texture to that, and then it plays on whatever object it's been applied to. Any object that has a texture. So like I said, it could be a sphere, it could be a Blender object, it could be pretty much anything. As long as it's got a texture slot, you can add that to there and it'll put the video onto it. So you can see when we play, it looks great. Okay, it is rendering just nicely in the background. And then when it gets to the end, it will loop and go back to the start. That kind of looks ugly, but it's fine for what it is. All right, next, let's put a start game button. One thing before I get too far, very important thing. We've just added a new scene to our game. So what's going to happen when you add a new scene is when you go up to your build settings under File, Build Settings, when you add a new scene, you have to add that open scene, okay? You'll notice I did this already and I deleted it before. What happens here is you will notice that the order of your scenes is out of order. The sample scene, the one that we started with, the actual main game, is 0. And the title menu now, which should actually be at the start of the game, is 1. So we should take this and we can actually drag this up to change the order so that the title menu is 0 and the sample scene is 1. And again, don't worry if you don't have a deleted one. That's just because I did this already. So title menu 0, sample scene 1. This tells Unity what order to run the scenes in when you actually build the game to play it on the computer rather than inside of Unity. Okay, so just make sure that's set 0 and 1. We will have to change something else that we had from before, but we'll fix it after. All right, so let's close that up. Next, let's do a little bit of a review. We're going to add a button that says Start Game here. So Game Object UI button, Text Mesh Pro. There it is. Let's just move it over somewhere about here. We'll get zoomed in on it nicely. Okay, perfect. Maybe I'll use the rec tool just to give myself some room. Make sure it's a little bigger. That's okay. And we're going to go, remember, a button has 2 parts. So you go into the button by going to this arrow, go into your text, set it to, let's say, new game. perfect. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually have to add a script to some sort of document that tells it to go to the next scene. So if you recall, we can hit plus, but there's nothing doing that yet, nothing being told to do that yet. So we're going to create that. We're going to go to our assets. We're going to go to our scripts. We're going to right click. We're going to create a new script. It's going to be called title menu. That sounds good to me, makes sense. Okay, go to title menu, go inside of title menu, double click. We can get rid of both of these actually for this because we just want something for the button to do. And you know, we can easily just copy and paste from our old menu, which is the pause menu. If you remember way back, we had the button clicked method. We can simply just copy that, bring it over to the title menu, paste it in there, and we can tell it to, let's see here, we want it to load a scene. That's what we want it to do. So we're going to add up here using unity.sceneManage. What's going on? Scene Manager. Boom. Oh, Unity Engine. You see how easy it is to screw up, you know? Sometimes when you're going fast and you're acting like you know what you're doing, like me. Unity Engine.scene management. There we go. Okay, then inside here we can just get rid of this junk and put scene manager dot load scene. And remember, the scene numbers change, so now the main game is actually scene 1. All right, so there it is. Save that. Now here's a bit of a refresher on how to add that to your button. We're going to take that title menu. I'm going to just drag and drop it, let's see, onto the canvas. It doesn't really matter where. Put it on the camera or wherever. Let's say on the canvas. Can I even add a script to a canvas? Yeah, of course I can. So I just threw it onto the canvas. It's there. Maybe we should move it down under the raycaster because that doesn't make sense. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the button. Okay. We're going to go here. We're going to actually take that canvas, which is title menu, attach it. Now we can search for it. It's inside of title menu and it's called on button click. Where is it? How come I don't see it? That's interesting. Oh, button clicked, right? Of course, not on button clicked, button clicked. Okay, so we're telling it on click, go to this script and run this method. Button clicked, which is going to take us to scene 1. Let's try it out. Play. We don't have any music or anything. It's okay. We know how to do music. Click. And there we go. Now you can see we start the game. Now you may notice your game is slightly darker when you are playing in editor view, like this window, this window that we're working in. Even though we can kind of test out the game and stuff, it's still not the final game. So if you're worried about that, if you're worried that the lighting has changed, don't worry too much. That's why I moved the sun back behind my guy, just so I could see my level a little bit better. That's a common thing. It's pretty normal. If you went in and adjusted your rendering lighting, like I told you here, with the environment, it may have helped. Okay, but you might have to set it in your other scene as well. Okay, so just hit save. We're good. File, save, we've got it. Like I said, everything's working fine. We now have a title menu, but there is one thing that we have to go and fix. So let's go back to our assets. Let's go to our scenes. Let's go back to our sample scene, which was our first one. I'm just going to go view, let's say, the player model. Switch out of 2D. If you remember on our death script, okay, on our script for when we die, which was inside of enemy collision, I believe, yes. When we die, our scene goes to scene 0. We got to fix that because otherwise it's going to not go, it's going to go back to the title menu. So let's keep this now to 1. Okay. Unfortunately, Unity is not smart enough to update itself if scene numbers change. So you have to remember where they were. So let's just try this again. If I play, Oh, of course, now it's going to start from this scene. All right. But everything is still working exactly as it should here. And I can guarantee you, if we go back to our title menu and play from there instead, new game, we start here. You'll see that color. See, it's a little bit different. Don't worry, when you build your final game, it'll be fixed. It's just a preview thing. And there we go. We start back to where we should be. So that is working great. All right, so we are getting close to the end here. I got a couple more things I want to show you guys. Nothing major. I also would like to possibly build in some sort of a save feature so I can show you how that works as well. But for now, we are making good progress, and this should have you getting close to sort of an intermediate level with Unity, which is good. Again, I would like to do a more advanced one in the future, but for now, again, continue on, and we're almost done wrapping this game up. So thanks for watching.